He grew up without chaos. No sudden losses. No disasters that forced him to change. His life moved in a straight line. School. University. A job that paid on time. Nothing felt wrong. Nothing felt urgent. He learned early that stability was valuable. That safety was something to protect. So he protected it. When choices appeared, he delayed them. Not out of confusion. Out of caution. There was always time later. Later to move. Later to change work. Later to decide what mattered. He didn't feel trapped. He felt reasonable. People around him called him reliable. Balanced. Someone who didn't chase illusions. He accepted those descriptions quietly. They felt accurate enough. There were moments when something stirred. A thought about leaving. A different life. Another version of himself. The thoughts didn't last long. They never demanded action. They faded on their own. He told himself that not choosing was also a choice. That waiting was a form of wisdom. Years passed without resistance. Time didn't rush him. It cooperated. He built routines instead of plans. Days that repeated without friction. Weeks that ended without memory. Nothing collapsed. Nothing asked to be saved. From the outside, his life looked intact. From the inside, it felt neutral. He did not feel unhappy. He also did not feel present. There was no moment when he noticed the shift. No clear before and after. Life continued. Quietly. Stability began to shape his days more precisely. It decided when he woke up. When he ate. When he stopped thinking. The job stayed manageable. It never asked too much. It never gave too much either. He learned its limits quickly. And stayed inside them. Promotions appeared occasionally. Not offered. Just visible enough to consider. They required movement. Responsibility. A clearer position. He postponed those decisions. Said he needed more time. Said the timing wasn't right. No one argued with him. There was always someone else willing. His private life followed the same pattern. Relationships formed slowly. Ended without conflict. He didn't avoid closeness. He just didn't move toward it. He listened more than he spoke. Agreed more than he questioned. Being adaptable felt like maturity. Like emotional balance. Friends changed cities. Changed priorities. Changed themselves. He stayed. Not because he loved the place. Because it was familiar. Conversations became shorter. Less personal. Easier to exit. He noticed people stopped asking what he wanted. They assumed he was fine. He didn't correct them. Evenings passed without friction. Screens filled the silence. Sleep arrived on schedule. Sometimes, late at night, a thought returned. Not regret. Not longing. Just a mild awareness. That days were being completed. Without being chosen. The thought never stayed long. Morning routines erased it. Life remained intact. Predictable. Undisturbed. And that felt like success. Time accumulated quietly. Not as years. As repetition. His face changed in small ways. Nothing sudden. Nothing worth commenting on. He noticed it once in a reflection. Not shock. Just recognition. The days still worked. They opened and closed as expected. They required no adjustment. Newer colleagues arrived. They spoke about beginnings. About plans. He listened with interest. Not envy. Not impatience. Their energy felt distant. Like a language he once knew. But no longer used. He had learned how to minimize discomfort. How to avoid situations that ask too much. How to keep things manageable. This skill had served him well. It kept everything stable. But it also removed urgency. Slowly. Without announcement. Decisions became abstract. Ideas without edges. Thoughts without weight. He told himself that clarity would come later. That there was no need to force it. The future remained undefined. Not frightening. Just blank. He filled the space with practical concerns. Bills. Schedules. Minor repairs. They gave the feeling of progress. Without direction. Occasionally, he imagined a different path. Not vividly. More like an outline. The outline never solidified. It didn't ask him to follow. There was no sense of loss yet. No sharp absence. Only a subtle distance. Between the person he was. And the one he once assumed he would become. The distance felt theoretical. Easy to ignore. Life continued to function. Efficiently. Quietly. Nothing required correction. So he kept moving forward. Without deciding where forward was. The realization did not arrive suddenly. It did not interrupt anything. It came during an ordinary moment. One without importance. He was waiting. For a response. For the next instruction. The pause felt longer than usual. Not uncomfortable. Just exposed. He noticed how often his life was built around waiting. Waiting for approval. Waiting for clarity. Waiting for something to begin on its own. There was no anger in the thought. No disappointment. Just a calm recognition. That most of his days were reactions. Not decisions. He reviewed his past without tension. There were no obvious errors. No reckless turns. He had followed advice. Accepted reasonable options. Avoided unnecessary risk. Everything looked correct. And yet, something was missing. Not success. Not meaning. Agency. The word appeared quietly. It did not accuse him. He understood that nothing had taken his life from him. No person. No event. It had simply formed. Around what he did not choose. The understanding settled slowly. Like a fact already known. He saw how often he had stepped aside. Instead of stepping forward. Not out of fear. Out of habit. The insight did not demand action. It did not promise change. It just stayed. Clear. Undeniable. The world around him remained the same. Sounds, light, movement. Only his position in it felt slightly off. After that, nothing changed immediately. There was no reaction. The days continued as before. They still worked. They still ended. He did not make sudden decisions. Did not rewrite anything. The realization did not push him. It only clarified the past. He noticed how often he had mistaken calm for contentment, and stability for direction. This noticing stayed quiet. It did not grow. He moved through routines with awareness, not resistance. The life he had was functional, orderly, complete in form. It simply wasn't authored. He understood now that a life does not need to break, to be lost. It can be handed over slowly, piece by piece, without struggle. There was no grief attached to this thought. No urgency. Only a steady acceptance that his days were the result of prolonged neutrality. He did not judge himself. There was nothing to punish. He also did not comfort himself. There was nothing to excuse. The future remained open. Not promising. Not closed. He stood inside that openness. Without stepping forward. Time continued. It always would. And for the first time, he noticed it moving. Without mistaking movement for direction.